India-Bangladesh naval forces concluded a coordinated patrol in Bay of Bengal this week amid strained diplomatic ties. The patrol was a part of 2025 edition of Bongosagar exercise. The Indian Navy in a statement said that annual exercise Bongosagar was aimed at enhancing the interoperability of two forces, ensuring they can better address shared maritime security challenges. The Indian Navy statement on this exercise said, the enhanced synergy of naval operations between two navies is the testament to the shared commitment of countering global security challenges towards security and stability in the region, promoting security and growth for all in the region. That is Sagar Initiative of India. The Bongosagar exercise saw the participation of Indian Navy's INS Ranvir and Bangladesh Navy's BNS Abu Ubaidah this year. With a range of operations including surface firing, tactical maneuvers, underway replenishment and VBSS, the visit board search, seizure and crossboarding. The exercise covered a broad spectrum of naval operations. Held since 2019, the Bongosagar exercise this time came months after the Indian Army Chief General Upendra Dwivedi in January this year highlighted the strategic significance of India-Bangladesh ties. The collaboration marks a significant advancement in maritime cooperation between the two nations since the ouster of Bangladesh Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina last year. The exercise also featured communication drills, which tested the forces' readiness, and a unique quiz on professional topics provided an engaging way for operational teams and junior officers to enhance their maritime knowledge. It culminated in a symbolic steam pass, reflecting the deepening ties between the two naval forces. Indian Army Chief General Upendra Dwivedi, in his first press briefing after assuming office, said in January, India is strategically important to Bangladesh and vice versa. As neighbors, we must understand each other and avoid animosity, as it is not in either nation's interest. On postponement of this exercise due to the ongoing strains between the two nations, the Army Chief stressed at that time, once the situation improves, the exercise will proceed as planned. Then he added, as of now, the relationship with the military is well and perfect. The now completed Bongosagar exercise has improved coordination between the two naval forces and their ability to conduct seamless maritime operations, particularly when addressing shared security concerns or emerging threats at sea, the Indian Navy stated. The exercise came after raising concerns over first joint training between the Chinese and the Bangladeshi armies in May of 2024. At the time, the People's Liberation Army conducted drills at Bangabandhu Bangladesh-China Friendship Exhibition Center near Dhaka. Pakistan has also come into picture, with Bangladesh previously strained relationship with Pakistan beginning to improve. In November and December last year, two cargo ships carrying goods docked at Chittagong port, marking the first such arrival since 1971 Bangladesh Liberation War. Bangladesh's political and diplomatic landscape has shifted following the ouster of the Hasina-led Awami League government after 15 years in power. Hasina, a close ally of India, is now in exile. This has resulted in weakened Bangladesh-India ties. However, Bongosagar has strengthened coordination and confidence between the two navies, thereby improving the ability to undertake coordinated operations and respond swiftly and effectively against emerging threats at sea. Needless to say, this underscores strong ties between two countries despite the political upheaval.